Alright, we're going to go ahead and start with the New South test review. This is something new that I'm going to try to see if it kind of makes a difference in test scores. And of course, we need to remember that our New South test will be this coming Friday. And we're going to start with some of the questions that were mostly missed on the review quiz that we took on Wednesday. First of all, we need to kind of know the order of events that took place during and after the Civil War. Of course, the Civil War came first, and then after the Civil War came Reconstruction, and this is the time when the southern states had to transition back into the Union. Of course, Lincoln wanted them to transition back as fast as they could, and there were some different opinions about that. And also the New South came after Reconstruction. So we got the Civil War, then we kind of reconstructed the South back together, and then after Reconstruction we have the New South. It's kind of like building a house. You buy a house that needs to be fixed up. We call it the Reconstruction period, and then after the house, hopefully you'll have a brand new house, which we call the New South. So we know that the New South took place during the late 1800s, and again, dates are not important, but you do need to know the frame of reference that we're talking about. We know that the New South did not happen before Reconstruction, it happened afterwards. All right, next one we're going to talk about the county unit system. And the county unit system we're going to talk about, I've got a picture here of Upson County. And again, the county unit system was a way to, again, disenfranchise blacks. And the way they did this is the county was divided up into three different areas. They had the urban areas, which is more like the city, like Thomaston, and then we have the rural areas, which was more like the county or the country. We're going to say country to actually represent, outside the county, outside the city. And you got different votes, so not all of these districts were represented equally. For an example, if you lived in the city, which most blacks did, then they only received, let me get rid of that, they only received two votes. And if you're in the country, I think you got like around 6 votes or something. The voting thing is not really important, but you need to know that most blacks lived in the urban areas, and then the rural areas, obviously, most whites lived in that, and they got the rural areas got more votes. So under the county unit system, guess who was represented unfairly? Obviously blacks. Guess who was represented in a way to make sure that whites won elections? The white people. All right, next word I want to bring to your attention came straight off the test, and it was came straight off the review, and it was actually the word called advocate. And we know advocate is just someone that supports you or helps you out. So it's actually a supporter. We can relate an advocate to ELT, and more specifically our advisor, advisee period, because that's the group of people that's supposed to meet together and share things and kind of take care of each other. So an advocate. So somebody that was an advocate or supporter of the New South movement would be, so we're going to say here, a supporter of the New South. Who would that be? Well, one supporter of the New South would obviously be the ICE, or the International Cotton Exposition. And we know ICE was nothing more than a fair where they would show off industry and show off the South and how much they were ready for industry. Now, who was not in favor of this? The populists were not in favor or not an advocate of the New South. And why was the Populist Party not in favor of the New South? Because the Populist Party wanted Georgia to stay agricultural. We'll kind of make this look a little bit pretty. Okay, now we'll skip over to another slide and we'll jump into the Bourbon III. Now, a couple of things we need to clarify about the Bourbon III. First of all, Bourbon III. They believed in white supremacy. They also supported new industry. They dominated Georgia politics after Reconstruction, because again, New South took place after Reconstruction. This group was also our Southern white Democrats. And they supported industrialized or industrial expansion, which means nothing more than getting as much industry as you can into the South. So we'll underline that so that you'll understand that's the Bourbon III. Next, we have Henry Grady, and there's a little bit of confusion that I noticed about Henry Grady. Now, he used local resources to speak on behalf of the New South. Now, which resources did he use? Which local resources? I'm waiting. Oh, that's right. I can't hear you. Yeah, I can't hear you. He actually used the newspaper. He was editor of the Atlanta Journal. And because he was editor, he got to decide what went in and what didn't. So, the New South, Henry Grady, really had nothing to do with segregation. Alright, moving into our third slide on this flip chart page. We need to order a few events. There was a little bit of confusion over that as well. First of all, we had to abolish slavery. I know I misspelled it, my bad. We had to abolish slavery in the United States. Once we abolished slavery, and we know that was the 13th Amendment, once we abolished slavery, then we had to grant citizenship to blacks. And we call that the 14th Amendment. And after that, we gave voting rights. Actually, voting rights were denied based on race. And we know what amendment took care of that. Obviously, it was the 15th Amendment. And then the last one, after black men got the right to vote, we actually gave voting rights to women. So that kind of orders things appropriately, and I know that when you know that came directly from the review sheet. So I hope that clears up some stuff, and we will jump into the next flip chart. And for some reason this was missed by several of us, and it was Rebecca Felton. And it surprised me that several of our females missed this. She was the first female in the U.S. Senate, which means the Senate is part of the House. So she was a member of Congress. She was also called a congressman. Back during those days, they were not really politically correct, but she was the first female U.S. Senator or member of Congress or congressman. She was also leader of the women's suffrage movement. And we know that was the movement to get women voting rights. She also secured greater political rights for women. So we just need to make sure that we understand Rebecca Latimer Felton so that we won't miss that. There's always a question on the CRCT that has to do with that. Next, we're going to revisit Booker T because we missed several things relating to Booker T. So jumping into the first section, Booker T asked white men to cast down their buckets, was a quote, and offer blacks job opportunities, and in return blacks would accept their segregated status. So in other words, if white people gave blacks some jobs will allow them to make money, they would accept their segregated status. And this is one of the things that Booker T and W.E. Du Bois kind of didn't see eye to eye on. Of course, Booker T was called an accommodationist by Booker T. And we know an accommodationist is someone who kind of goes along with what is being asked of him or her. So segregation was going on. Booker T said, hey, let's don't fight it. They'll give us jobs. We'll work our way through this. And we know W.E.B. Du Bois was not, or did not believe in being an accommodationist. He wanted a different route. So we're going to stop here for now and let you rest for a few minutes, and then we will come back together with video 2 with our New South review.